Hi everybody, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead, and we are going to continue reading on our book, Mad Dog of Lobo Mountain. It's one from the from the DJ Dillon series. It's been really good so far and pretty exciting. So yesterday, just to remind you, DJ heard his dog Digger. But then there was another dog that was after him. He couldn't see that dog, so they called him a ghost dog. But we'll see what's going to happen now on Chapter 10. A surprise at Saddleback Ridge. The cabin was dark inside, but DJ saw the shape of a dog. As the boy swung his club up to defend himself, the dog barked once and leapt up straight for DJ. The boy started to bring the club down hard when he recognized the bark. He stopped the strike and dropped the stick on the bare wood floor. Hero! The little hair-pulling bear dog leapt. Sleep carried him into the boy's arms, knocking him off balance. DJ started to fall backward to the ground. He automatically threw out his right hand and caught the door jamb. DJ spun halfway around but held onto the dog with his left arm. Then DJ saw the other dog. He was running hard, straight for them across the cleared yard. Hero also saw the other dog and growled, struggling to be free, but DJ held tight and scrambled to regain his footing. "No, Hero, no!" The boy staggered forward into the shanty's dark interior. Instantly, DJ kicked backward with his heavy boot. The door slammed shut. A second later, the strange dog smashed into it so hard the door shuddered and seemed to be about to be knocked off its hinges. Hero barked like crazy and struggled so hard the boy couldn't hold him. The little mutt jumped to the bare wood floor and threw himself at the closed door. A steady stream of the loudest barks DJ had ever heard poured from that scroungy looking little dog. "No, Hero! Quiet, I say!" Reluctantly, the little mixed breed dog stopped barking. He growled deep in his throat for a moment. Then slowly turned to look at the boy. DJ reached down suddenly and threw his arms around the dog. "Oh, Hero, I'm so glad to see you." The mutt was obviously glad to see the boy too. Hero licked DJ's face and seemed to be about to turn himself inside out with happiness. For a minute, the boy and the dog were close, the dog whining eagerly and happily, the boy whispering, "How did you get in here? You must have found the door open. Then the wind blew it shut after you got inside." The door shuddered again. DJ scrambled to his feet, his eyes scanning the cabin's interior for something to brace the door with. He glimpsed a heavy wooden box half filled with oak pieces waiting for burning in the old kitchen stove. The boy leapt to the box, tugged mightily, and heaved it against the door. DJ started to straighten up. The door shuddered again as the outside dog crashed heavily into it. Hero threw himself at the door, barking furiously. It was then the boy realized not a sound had come from the strange dog outside. He didn't growl. He didn't bark. He assaulted the door in total spooky silence. DJ's flesh crawled, though he was now safely inside. Or was he safe? "Come on, Hero. Let's take a look around here, make sure there's no way that other dog can get in here." There were 2 windows on either side of the tiny room. DJ hurried to the closest one on the right by the wood-burning stove. The panel hadn't been washed for years. Through the grime and spider webs, DJ saw the ground outside, slanted sharply away. The lowest part of the window was at least 6 feet off the ground. A big dog might have leapt that high, but the boy didn't think Hero could have done it, and the dog outside was almost exactly the same size. DJ checked the second window and found it was about the same as the first. Through it, the boy could see the sky was darker now. The evergreens stood motionless in a lull before the storm. I don't think that strange dog can make it through those windows, Hero. No other door in here? But what's in the lean-to? DJ and the dog moved across to the cluttered room, past a rickety pine table, past an old blasting powder box that was used for a chair, past a clutter of musty-smelling magazines and newspapers. DJ's eyes had adjusted to the semi-darkness enough so he could see there was a slight step downward to the lean-to. No window. The boy's eyes determined that in a single glance. How about a door? The boy stepped cautiously down to the lean-to, his nose bringing the smell of unwashed bedding and dusty quilts. DJ saw the bed in the corner. It was more of a cot, really. He decided it was rumpled and untidy, as though it had never been made. But something moved on it. DJ's reflexes caused his hands to jerk up in a defensive position, and his legs braced against the slight crouch. The boy's heart leaped with a double times speed, but Hero didn't whine or growl. As the boy stood ready to defend himself, the dog trotted by him and up to the cot. Hero raised his front paws, placed them on the edge of the bed, and extended his muzzle. Hero whined softly. No, Hero, down. The boy's sharp command was instinctive. The dog obeyed. DJ moved slowly forward, straining to see what had moved on the cot. Slowly, the boy saw that it was Roger. DJ's whispered explanation was followed by action. He leaned over the bed. His hand touched the little boy's naked chest. He's breathing, DJ cried. Hero, he's alive. DJ gently shook the tiny shoulders. Roger, wake up. Wake up. There was no response. DJ started to shake the boy harder, then stopped. He had never really seen a person who was unconscious, let alone in a diabetic shock. But the mountain boy knew that's what he was looking at. Hero, what are we going to do? The dog whined and thrust his muzzle against DJ's pant leg. The boy stopped and gave him a quick, absent-minded pat. DJ's thoughts spun so fast he couldn't separate them for a moment. Then he forced himself to take a deep breath and think clearly. Hero, Roger will die if we don't get help soon. But how? DJ hurriedly glanced around the lean-to. No phone. No CB radio. No shortwave or ham outfit as some people who lived alone in the mountains had. DJ stepped backward into the small main room. Again, no phone or radio. Hero whined anxiously, disturbed by DJ's sudden excited movements. The boy reached down quickly and petted the dog's head. I don't know how to help that little kid, Hero. I can't call for help. I can't go outside and run back to camp because that dog's out there. That reminded DJ. He hadn't heard the strange animal trying to get in since the last time he slammed his body against the door. The boy moved to the window on his right and looked outside. The sky was darker. Thunder crashed closer. It echoed through the canyons and bounced off the granite walls and domes. DJ crossed to the other window and saw more of the same threatening sky and acres of evergreen trees. The boy turned towards the door. He debated. Open it a crack and try to locate the dog? Well, even if the animal was out of sight, it didn't mean DJ could dash out and down the mountain to camp without getting attacked. But I can't do nothing, DJ said fiercely, looking at Hero. I've got to do something, and fast. But what? DJ moved to the door. He scooted the wooden box back half an inch. Slowly, the boy took hold of the knob and eased the door open just a crack. He put his right eye to the opening and looked in the yard. Old shed, empty except for a piece of wire and junk. Nothing big enough to hide the strange dog. Old tank house is coming apart, so I can look right through the boards. No dog there. DJ's eyes flickered on the woodpile. Yes, the dog could be hiding behind that. Or maybe even that great pile of dry brush further down. Or maybe, what was that? The boy adjusted his forehead against the crack of the door so he could see better. He'd never seen anything quite like that, whatever it was. It was about 5 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 3 feet high. It was like a wire box made of heavy gauge mesh wire and metal frames instead of 2x4s. Then DJ knew. He turned to Hero. That's got to be one of those humane traps Mr. Wabin told me about. The boy again put his eye to the crack of the door. The trap's spring-loaded door stood over the only opening. If the strange dog would go for the bait and step on the trigger, the door would drop down and catch him. DJ could then run down the mountain and get help. The strange dog trotted silently into DJ's view. The dog had been behind the brush pile. He passed it going away toward the southeast stand of timber. In a moment, the dog had disappeared into the brush 200 yards away. DJ closed the door and bent to pet his dog. That must be Mr. Schmickel's dog, and the one that bit Roger. But I don't know if the dog's given up and is going off someplace, maybe miles away, or if he's just waiting for us to step outside. Hero whined and licked DJ's face. Absently, the boy stood up and looked towards the lean-to. There has to be a way I can signal for help, Hero, but how? The anguished words were barely out of his mouth when DJ remembered something Brother Paul Stagg had preached the Sunday before. There'll come a time in everyone's life, the giant lay preacher had rumbled, when there's nobody out there but you and God. At first, a believer may feel he is totally helpless and alone. But when he remembers the Lord is with him and he asks in faith, well, brothers and sisters, I'll tell you for sure, that's when you can see the power of God. DJ groaned. Ugh. Those were mighty good words to hear in church. But out here in the cabin like this, they didn't seem to really be true. But what else could DJ do? When he'd been in the little church the other night, he hadn't been able to even say a word, but he had left there with a feeling that everything was going to be all right. What was it that famous Christian once said? DJ thought. Never doubt in the dark what God has shown you in the light. Let me say that again. Never doubt in the dark what God has shown you in the light. Right now, it didn't even seem possible that God could help. But DJ closed his eyes and softly prayed, Lord, please show me what to do. That was all. But the boy meant it sincerely. He opened his eyes. For the first time, he noticed the kerosene lamp and a box of kitchen matches on the rickety old table. As DJ reached out to remove the lamp's glass chimney, a thought hit him. He hesitated, thinking fast. Of course, a signal. But it was a terribly dangerous idea. It could get DJ into an awful lot of trouble. Yet if he didn't do it, little Roger would surely die. DJ decided. He pulled the wood box away from the door and opened it. He took a quick look to be sure Mr. Schmickel's dog wasn't in sight. DJ returned to the table, removed the lamp's chimney, then grabbed up the lamp base and the box of matches. "Stay, hero, stay," DJ commanded. Then he opened the door and ran, carrying the lamp in one hand and the box of matches in the other. "Please, Lord, let it work. Let it work." Wow, that was a fast chapter. So that's the end. He's headed out there. I have no idea where that other dog is. But I do have an idea of maybe what he's going to do with that oil lamp and those matches. Do you? Well, I want to say I love you. I really do. But more importantly than that, God loves you, and He always will. So I want to pray blessings on you and yours, in your house, out of your house, in the day and the night, and whatever you do, keep dreaming. Also, I recorded another story today that you might like to listen to. It is Why We Have Easter. I think you would enjoy it. Well, let me know if you've been enjoying these stories, or just let me know that you're listening. Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow when I'm reading. Bye-bye.